Alright, it's that time of the format. Tier list time, BT9. So, obviously doing the best thing that you could do, which is putting my opinions on the internet. So we're going to talk about BT9. Obviously been playing it a lot, testing for regionals. I have 2 back-to-back regional weekends coming up. So definitely been prepping a lot, so I feel decently comfortable with the BT9 metagame. I don't know how comfortable I feel with the exact ordering of every deck as I would in past formats, but as far as like tiers, we're good. Alright, I'm editing the tier system first. We're gonna go like tier 1, tier 2, rogue, trash, no, meme, and then trash. Alright, so Beelstar I think is pretty tier 2. I think it's pretty good in the format. There's no way it pushes up into tier 1, but it is very strong. Lots of removal, lots of defense, can go really wide with nail bones, so you can get pretty aggressive. And then once you get into the late game, you can start to pop off with like multiple Beelstars. But there are a lot of decks playing Avenged Kidmon, which can hurt this deck pretty hard, and so you kind of have to have a more aggressive early game to get through that, which this deck can do with things like Scatter Mode, or even just their rookies, like through Gazimon, Psychmons just swinging in, so I think it's pretty good. Alphamon, I'll have to put in tier 1. I think it's undeniably tier 1. I still think it's a deck that is overhyped a bit because you can get bricky with it even with the consistency, and it's also a deck where if you don't fully understand like the order that you need to play your searchers, you can like your search cards, then you're not going to optimally be cycling through your deck. So that's something that I've seen kind of hinder some players, but the deck is still so strong it has to be tier 1. Red Hybrid, I'll put like at the top of tier 2 for right now, we'll see. I don't think it's tier 1. I think the only person really doing anything with it was Mario, but he did win 2 events, so it is a pretty relevant deck, but testing against Red Hybrid, I feel like a lot of decks are pretty favored. Like, you can go pretty fast, but it is a deck that if you just pop off and get your, like, combo turn 3, and then you just swing 5 checks with no options and Blitz Omni, you just win the game, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So it's a deck that is kind of a double, like a glass cannon sometimes, but it is just, you can OTK so easily with this. Beelsmon, I like... It's going somewhere in here. I might put it in Rogue. I don't think it's the craziest deck in, like, builded stack formats because you are... Like, you need to get a lot of cards in trash, which takes a lot of time, and you can just kind of get OTK'd or just get out-aggressed. But if you are playing against slower matchups, this deck can be super crazy because you'll be able to go in for the swing, and just be able to go for all the checks, swing in and whatnot. So, I don't know. It's somewhere between here. I'll put it Rogue. I think it's fine. Machinedramon, like I think I always put it in trash tier, but like I'll put it in meme tier, maybe trash tier. I don't know. I think this deck has like a chance. I don't think it's like in the Rogue tier. I think it's kind of like a deck that is fringe Rogue, but it's not like necessarily a trash deck. But I do think if you're playing it in BT9, it's kind of like for the Machinedramon enthusiasts. Dexter Goromon, I'll put it in like Rogue tier above this. I've played against this deck. I have a couple videos of people playing it on the channel. I think it's like Alphamon, but just weaker. So like you have so much support with the X-Antibody stuff that it's definitely like a deck that can perform and do well, but I think it's just, in a competitive setting, it's worse than Alphamon right now. But I still think it's playable, so it probably just goes in Rogue. Diaboromon goes in trash tier. That is a primitive tier list staple. Because yeah, I don't know what you're really doing with Diaboromon right now. The blocker isn't gonna help you as much. There's a lot of ways to clear like wide in this format, or even just if you're playing like Grandis, they can just pierce through and stuff like that. So yeah, D-Reaper is like either bottom of tier 1 or top of tier 2. I think I'll put it here for right now, and we might move it, but this deck has been topping a lot. Obviously won some events. Big shout out to Luca, killing it. Won Otakon, top 4 PPG. Pretty sure topped another event, and then there's other people topping with D Reaper, so this deck is very real. You get put on a clock, and when you're playing a lot of big stack decks that need time to set up with their tamers or build and raising or play memory boost and stuff like this, you are giving this deck time to be able to essentially OTK you with Reaper. So this deck is obviously very real. I don't know if I like bottom of tier 1 or top of tier 2 yet, but we'll keep working with it. I think Galmon's above D Reaper. Galmon's really shot, or yeah, it's above D Reaper for sure. It's shot up recently in popularity and success. It's been topping a lot. It's been doing really well. I've been testing against it a decent amount with Team Icewall, and so I do think it's a pretty strong deck. I think it's probably going to go towards like the bottom of tier 1. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see, but I think I would put this up in tier 1 just off of its most recent tournament results, and also just how the metagame is kind of forming right now. I think this deck is doing pretty decent. Gallantmon, I'm going to put in Rogue. You could also argue potentially bottom tier 2, but I don't know. I think if you're playing this as your red deck, I think you're going to have higher success with these two, with the red hybrid and the Gao, so I kind of want to put this below these two. So I'm going to have to go with Rogue, but I think it's better than Beals. I don't know how I feel about this spot, but I'll respect Gallantmon and put it right there. Grandis is probably here, maybe here. Grandis at this point actually might be higher than D Reaper. Like, these are right next to each other for sure, however it goes. But Grandis has been doing really well recently. It's starting to get better. Cartomagica top 3 were all Grandis. It's just a deck where it's very simple and straightforward. You build the stack and you go for game, or you don't build the stack and you lose. And that's just kind of the deck, and it's effective enough. I don't really know where I want to put it. I don't mind moving things later as we go along, so I'll just put it right here for now. Imperial Jewel's probably like right here. I love Imperial, but it did start to die off a lot. The more people started to put Kongu and Alphamon, the more the Greymon X antibody started to kind of pop up. The worse Imperial kind of felt, because one of its main thing was Megadeth. That's why me and Jesse took it to Otakon, is because we just felt Megadeth was such a strong card in the metagame with how people were building their decks and just how everything was fit. But with how the metagame's progressed, I don't think it's as crazy. It's definitely tier 2. I wouldn't put it in Rogue. It's still topped regionals once or twice since then, so I think tier 2 is fine. Jelly Force, I'm going to put in meme. I'll respect the Jelly. I have not piloted this deck, and I have never played a game against it, but I have seen it played. Is it trash? Maybe. Is it a meme? Maybe. But I think Jelly fits more in the meme tier for me. I think it's kind of like it's an enthusiast deck. Might get better in the future with more Ulfor support stuff, but as of right now, with the current support that we have out, I don't think it's anything too crazy. So this is like yellow hybrid, but I don't know exactly what this is supposed to mean because of the different builds that there are. There's like the yellow-red hybrid, there's the Shine Greymon, Rise Greymon build, there's the Ophanimon build, and I don't see Ophani Loop here. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't see it on the list, so I'll have to add that in after. But if we're gonna count this at yellow hybrid, you can't count it as yellow hybrid. I mean, it's just you have one Jet Sylphie, so yellow hybrid isn't as strong as it was before. We're not playing like the Rapidmon yellow hybrid stuff anymore. You're mostly just playing yellow hybrid as like a side package to kind of get up into your megas. So this can really be interpreted as like Shine, Ophanimon Loop, or the yellow-red hybrid. Since this was made by Battle Ready Inc. and he played the yellow-red hybrid in the Prim Invitational, I kind of want to assume that's what he's going for. And I have no idea where to rank that. And also because this is kind of can be interpreted as a couple different decks, I just want to put it in tier 2. Like yellow hybrid, like yellow control decks are still always going to be strong. You have lots of access to recovery, and you have some of the best megas in the game, and you have access to a lot of them, so pretty good. Justimon, I'm just going to put in like trash tier, just because this was a deck that like I spent a decent amount of time working on, and it just felt really bad every time. So just out of personal experience, I'm going to put it there. Blue Hybrid, you're probably playing the Magna Garurumon build since you don't have Tommy. I think it was a good deck even back when we had Tommy. It just was kind of outshined by the Tommy Blue Hybrid. And now I think it's a deck that I don't see it being a top meta threat anymore, but I don't see it being like a meme or trash tier. I think it can safely fit into Rogue. Magnamon goes like somewhere right here probably. I definitely put it above all these decks. This deck can be really good. You have the Armor Rush style, which means you can go very aggressive, plus you have the top end Magna, so you can kind of have the more defensive play there, while also being able to have multiple ways to build the deck. You could go for DNA Digivolve stuff with either Pyildramon or Shikaomon. You can play Chimeramon, or you can just go for full Rookie Rush and then play the option card that allows you to go up into your Magnamon X. So I think this deck is pretty good. My teammate Luis has been playing this pretty much since Armor Rush came out, and then upgraded it to the Magnamon X, and he has been performing very well with it, so I definitely know the true power of it. I'm not putting it into tier 1, but definitely putting it into tier 2. Metal Garurumon X is either like the first or second best deck. Just because I love blue, I'm going to put it there, but however you want to rank this is probably going to be up to the individual. I think Metal Garurumon has more tops and more wins. I could be maybe not more tops. I think it has more wins. I could be wrong on that though. But regardless, these are definitely like the top 2 decks right now as far as tournament results. And yeah, you could really put these however you want. But Metal Garurumon is just very strong. It can be very aggressive. It has a lot of bounce. It has defense. You have blue cards, and blue cards are just insane. So yeah, it's very good. I'm gonna put this, like, I don't really feel like Digimon's like a deck in itself as much as it's like Mastamon. So when I see this, I kind of think of Mastamon. Mastamon is still a very strong deck. I think it's fallen off a little bit. I think it's a little bit slower now. But the fact that you do have access to things like Flame Hell Scythe, Chaos Degradation, paired up with things like Magna Angemon, means you can get a lot of recovery going. Plus, the Digimon is really good. You have the Gatomon Search. You'll be able to Digivolve up for 1 on top of Gato, stuff like that. So I think it's fine. I think you could put it in tier 2 or Rogue. I'm gonna put it in Rogue. I think it's a deck that you don't really see topping tournaments. And, like, outside of my locals, I don't really see Mastamon that much, so I'm gonna just put it in Rogue. Sakuyamon, meme tier, for kind of the same reason Jellyforce is. I think this is kind of an enthusiast deck. It was a deck that I was extremely hyped for when EX2 came out, and then was very abruptly disappointed in. It's meh. I think it can pop off, but it also doesn't pop off very often, and I feel like it just gets outpaced by most decks. It's definitely not trash, but I'll put it in meme tier somewhere with Jellyforce here. Shivamon is probably also a rogue deck. Like, you can do well with Shivamon. People are starting to do the whole Shivamon with the Paladin mode, or the Omnimon Merciful mode. You can go for that little combo to trash your opponent's top 2 of their security and set up with another Shivamon so they can't use options as well. So I don't know. I think it's a rogue deck. I don't really know if it's meme or trash. I think it's a deck that could potentially see some results pop up out of nowhere, but I wouldn't see it be a consistent thing. Wargreymon X, I'm gonna put either right above or right below Red Hybrid. I'll put it right below just because of what I've seen from tournament results, but I personally think that Wargreymon X feels like a better Ancient Greymon. Like, it's not as OTK, but it's also not as one-dimensional. And you still can have access to not swinging into options. You could play the, I think it's BT9 Wargreymon, where it has Sec +1, doesn't check options. You could easily fit a Delicate Plan in there, so you could do the same thing, but you get the ability to, when you're swinging checks, you get to gain memory, which will allow you to expend plays, be able to go into hybrids, be able to go into your Omnimon, whatever you need to do. So I'd say it's either right here or right here, but for tournament results purposes, I'll put it right below. And then Green hybrid, I don't know, is this a deck right now? Like, I have no disrespect, like, maybe I put it in here next to blue hybrid. Like, I don't really have any disrespect for green hybrid, I just haven't seen it. Like, the green I've seen has been Shiva and Grandis, and that's about it. So, I guess you could put it in Rogue, because green hybrid is a very strong deck. Being able to build up hybrids is nice. JP is a very strong tamer, and Ancient Beetlemon has an insane effect. Plus, you have access to a bunch of other insectoids you could go into on top, like outside of the Ancient Beetlemon, to help in other matchups. But I haven't really seen it that much, so I'll put it in Rogue. It's probably better than Blue Hybrid. It's probably better than Shivamon. This is probably better than Shivamon too. Yes, there's no Gabumon in this list, unfortunately. This was made by Battle Ready Inc., or else you would have known I already put 15 Gabumon Bond of Friendships in here and put them all in tier 0. But that's going to be the tier list for BT9. I don't think it included all the decks in this tier list, but I couldn't really find one that did have all of them. This was the closest one, like, thinking off the top of my head, they didn't have the Ophani Loop. And the Ophani Loop I'd probably put either above or below Magna X. And I don't see D-Brigade, and D-Brigade I'd probably put above Grandis. So those are the 2 decks that I can think of that are missing. There's probably a couple others that might not be as relevant, meaning they might like be Rogue or lower, as to where tier 2 or higher. Ophani Loop and D-Brigade definitely need to be in here, but weren't on there, but that is where I would rank them. But let me know how correct or wrong I am down below in the comments. Let me know what you think and what decks you are enjoying the most in BT9. But with that being said, I will catch you all next time. Peace!